I am no captain of industry, nor am I likely to become one. Yet Anderson's book spoke to me. He begins by saying, "We are all makers. We are born makers, and many of us retain that love in our hobbies and passions." Now, as a lifelong maker, he had me at hello, but an industrial revolution? Could he make me a believer? The thought that the maker movement, with its dreamers and tinkerers, could change industry sounded more like a utopian vision than a practical reality. After all, there may be something in David Rotman's criticism of this book when he says that makers can't have a significant economic effect until they are less fascinated by digital design and more interested in how things actually get made. However, in fairness to Anderson, I kept an open mind, mostly because I want to believe in the power of human capital. Anderson begins his argument with a quote from Cory Doctorow's popular science fiction book, Makers. Quote, "The days of companies with names like General Electric and General Mills, General Motors are over. The money on the table is like krill. A billion little entrepreneurial opportunities that can be discovered and exploited by smart, creative people." From here, he proceeds to make his case by describing the transformative nature of the maker movement, where 1. The desire to do it yourself meets with the empowerment of digital desktop tools. 2. It is normative to share and support one another's product development in a community of like-minded people. And 3, the use of common design file standards allow anyone to either make his own product or send it out for manufacture. These 3 points are the backbone of this book. After a brief detour to bring the reader up to speed on the progress of mankind from the first through the third industrial revolution, Anderson proceeds to build on these 3 key arguments with a narrative of case histories, anecdotes from personal experience, and a wealth of information about emerging technologies. The new industrial revolution in this book's title is what he calls the third industrial revolution. This has been brought about, he says, by technology and the network communication capacities of the internet. He describes these as a force multiplier, just like automation was in the second industrial revolution. Only here they multiply both the physical and the mental capacities of humankind. Not surprisingly, Anderson bases his argument that the days of mass production, aka the second industrial revolution, are in decline on the long tail of things. Well, not surprising because he wrote the book, The Long Tail, published by Hyperion in 2006. In essence, the long tail is the growth of niche market products that reflect what people want and need rather than what companies want to produce. As someone who was fascinated by the idea of mass customization, I personally have ordered those little personalized M&Ms. I was quite interested to learn that it is now passé. The accessibility of the internet marketplace and the evolution of desktop tools like 3D printers, CNC, laser cutters, 3D scanners, and the like have made us all designers, and the growth of outlets like Etsy show that there is a marketplace for what we make. Lower those barriers, Anderson says, and the crowd pours in. We are all designers, and it is time to get good at it. Now, the second half of this book deals with how people have taken those inspirational designs and turned them into products, and then taken these products and built them into successful businesses. One of Anderson's most helpful suggestions is to give away the bits and sell the atoms. This means basically you keep your designs open source for those who wish to DIY, but sell kits or ready-made for customers who do not. To quote Anderson, when you release your designs on the web without any patent protection, licensed so that others can use them, you build trust, community, and potentially a source of free product development advice. Anderson puts a strong emphasis on the importance of building a community around your product. The authenticity of these communities, he suggests, lies in the reality that technology products are generally pretty difficult to use. So rather than using a website or a blog for his company, he maintained a Ning. This is a social network with great utility for discussion, profiles, personal messaging, videos, and so forth. He also suggests that a geographically dispersed company can work well with a social network as its roof. From his experience and that of others, Anderson makes 4 recommendations for companies that desire to be models for lightweight innovation. Network your organizations, reward solution seekers. He has a great reward hierarchy that builds up from t-shirts and coffee mugs to company equity. Err on the side of openness, that is, give away the bits, and engage actively, build community. He does acknowledge, however, his critics like Rotman with the following statement, quote, "At the end of the day, the maker movement will be judged not just on how it can change product categories and entrepreneurial fortunes, but also on how much it can move the needle for an entire economy. To do so, it will have to influence the biggest manufacturing industries." When I read this, I got very excited, and I thought, here it comes, the proof. Anderson is going to show his critics. And then he brings the example of Local Motors, which, while it is a lovely entrepreneurial story, even Anderson has to admit that their production of 60 specialized cars in no way competes with General Motors. Still, he protests, they have created something even greater than a car. They have created an innovation platform. And here we are, once again back at the long tail of things. Anderson's conclusion: General Motors and General Electric are not going away. But in his words, they will simply no longer hold the monopoly on goods. The marketplace will grow to accommodate greater choice and abundance. Niche goods will not elbow out the giants. They will simply fill the spaces or the perceived spaces in between. So where is the revolution? In the end, Anderson did not succeed in convincing me that we are in the midst of a great third industrial revolution. I am not, however, dismayed. The book did a great job of illustrating the capacities of human intelligence and creativity when aided by fabulous technology. I believe that the maker movement has the power to inspire inventions and solutions that can entertain and uplift, save lives, and improve well-being. And simply put, makers can make the world a better place. And if in the end this potential is fulfilled, we could rightly call it a revolution. That's a long tale that I am looking forward to reading.